All right, picture this with me for just a moment. You're Googling ways to improve things in the bedroom. And the first thing that comes to your mind is, oh my God, I got to delete my browser history. How do I delete my browser history for fear of someone finding out what you're actually Googling? Or you've been asked by your partner to try something slightly taboo, maybe a little kinky, and you freeze. You shut off. Any turn on that you may have been experiencing, it is gone pecan. Or maybe you're just constantly worrying what he's thinking and if he's enjoying it. Or you worry about sharing your desires or your fantasies because you think maybe they're wrong or they're shameful. So you really struggle to open up and share about your desires and fantasies, regardless of how much he might be prying to get them out of you or trying to get you to open up about it. And you stay up at night wondering if he's going to leave you. Because surely other women are far more sexually captivating, far more alluring, far more exciting than you. And there is just no way that he's going to want to stay with you. If you experience any of that, then, my dear, you are either struggling with sexual shyness or anxiety that's keeping you from feeling amazing and confident and owning who you are as a sensual and a sexual woman. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you how to overcome sexual shyness and anxiety for good so you can stop worrying, feeling insecure and self-conscious, and really own your unique flavor of sexy. So stay tuned with me to the end where I'm going to walk you through the 4-step process to show you how I actually overcame these exact issues myself and how I have supported many clients to overcome them as well. The Multi-Orgasmic Millionaire with Tilly Storm is the only sex podcast for high-achieving leaders wanting to experience the best sex and the epic relationships of their lives without dragging their partner to therapy, blaming it on their hormones, or trying things in the bedroom that don't feel authentic. I'm your host today, Tilly Storm, top 20 sex coach in the world. I hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome, my loves. It's Tilly Storm. I'm excited to share with you today something very near and dear to my heart is this issue of sexual shyness and anxiety because I used to feel extremely sexually shy. Okay, sexual shyness. What is this? Well, it's the feeling of being self-conscious, of feeling insecure or uncomfortable when it comes to expressing your desires or doing certain sexual acts, right? And sexual anxiety is usually about performance anxiety or the fear of being judged or the fear of feeling inadequate in the bedroom or worrying if you're good enough in the bedroom, right? Well, I've struggled with both, so I know these issues very well. Now, I can hardly remember now how that was for me and how, what was that experience like to struggle with that because it seems so completely 180 different experience for me now, but just less than 10 years ago. When did I start this? I'm 39 now. I think around the time I was 30 or 31 was when I really started diving into sexuality work. And I used to feel so insecure in my body, even though I met conventional beauty standards. I'm almost 5'8". I'm fairly thin, kind of an athletic build. And I had, after being pregnant and breastfeeding, my boobs were super saggy and I felt really insecure about floppy boobs, extra skin. Even though there wasn't a lot of extra skin, there was still some. And I was highly, highly critical and self-judgmental of my own body. And it definitely spilled over into my bedroom experiences because I remember not wanting to have sex without the lights off or a shirt on because I was that insecure and that uncomfortable in my own skin. And I know that I wasn't alone in feeling that way because as I was working at a birth center at the time, I recognized how many other women who would really share openly when you're working in midwifery or as a doula, women tend to open up way more with you than they do as a friend. So I would hear kind of like the behind the scenes of what it was really like for women in their sexuality and how they felt about their body after becoming moms. So I really understand this issue. And I know too that many, many, many women struggle with this. So today I'm going to walk you through the process of how I overcome how I overcame sexual shyness and anxiety, and how I teach my clients to do this too. So the first step is exposure therapy. Exposure therapy. I know. This is where you intentionally confront and overcome the feared thing or the anxiety around the thing by gradually exposing yourself to the feared thing or the thing that makes you anxious on purpose with intention. And the way that exposure therapy works is it really desensitizes you from the trigger. So it desensitizes you to the thing that you fear or that you worry about. So I've got some examples to kind of help you understand how you can kind of use exposure therapy in your own life to desensitize you from the triggering thing that sends you into anxiety or that has you feeling sexually shy. So, for example, I had one client who was horrified of buying a glass dildo. She had never in her life bought a sex toy, and she had so much anxiety and shame around it that she had to have her husband buy the thing for her and put it in his name because she was so terrified of what the mailman would think, of if the packaging was revealing of what the object was. Like, it was totally unfounded. The fear and the anxiety around it was really kind of out of proportion to what buying a sex toy should be for someone, right? So I've also had clients who really struggled with certain sexual words, such as pussy or vagina. And in these cases, the best thing that you can do to get over the shyness or the anxiety for the words, right, is just to start speaking the words repeatedly in a mirror until you start to become desensitized to it and it doesn't bother you as much. For example, if you really struggle with the word pussy, if that triggers you or it sends you into a bit of shame or anxiety or fear or disgust, right? To really reclaim that word is just repeating it over and over and over again. Pussy, 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 pussy. Shout it at the rooftops until you stop feeling so triggered around it. Because the more that you just normalize the word as a word and not give it so much meaning and so much charge, the more that you just use it as a word and stop assigning so much meaning to it, then it becomes easier to just use the word and see it for what it actually is, which is just a word that we use to describe a certain body part, and it doesn't have to come with all of these negative connotations and emotions. And in the case of my client who was so terrified to buy a sex toy for the first time, right? One way that you can expose yourself to this sort of thing is just to take yourself to a sex toy shop and to not buy anything, but just to expose yourself to the different things that are out there so you stop being freaked out about the thing that you're so afraid of. Because when we don't expose ourselves to the things that we really want to experience, like a more sexual pleasure or feeling that we can use words to actually describe our body parts and not name them little hoo-ha or whatever women call them because they're so terrified of using the actual word. And the best way to do that is to slowly release the charge around it by getting ourselves used to being around it or using the word, right? So getting around other sex toys, being around them, like exposing ourselves to that thing more and more and more. And then maybe if you visit the sex toy store and you're like, okay, I did that, it was terrifying, and I can picture myself going again. I don't know if I could buy it. I might feel super embarrassed to actually go up and buy a thing, but maybe I'll just buy something online. And then you can do that. And then maybe once you recognize that, okay, I can actually do this, then going into the actual store and buying the thing can be a little more easier for you. So you see how exposure therapy can kind of give you that opportunity to do something that definitely feels edgy, but it's not going to throw you over the edge. But it allows you the opportunity to see, okay, that wasn't so scary. That wasn't so hard after all, right? I know I definitely experienced this fear of buying an anal plug when I first started sex, love, and relationship coaching training. One of the items was to buy an anal plug. And I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm about to buy this thing. And I remember having some anxiety around it. I was able to buy it online just fine and didn't have any fear around it. But I know that one of the other things that we did when we started sex, love, and relationship coaching training to really desensitize ourselves from the shock of using words like vagina, penis, pussy, sex, sexuality. One of the things that we did was to watch videos of tons of photos of vulvas and penises flashing before us to help desensitize us from the discomfort that we have around it, from the trigger that it's something that it's hush hush, right? That people shouldn't talk about these things. And in order for us to begin to use the words like any normal person should be able to talk and to discuss certain things, that this sort of exposure therapy was so helpful. I remember looking at the screen for 10 minutes of just all sorts of different types of vulvas flashing before my eyes. And I'm like, holy fuck, man. Like, okay, first of all, look at the variety. Oh my God. And oh my goodness, like, it's really not so crazy. It's just a part of our body. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but there's so much charge and shock around certain things like this that we create anxieties around it that are completely unfounded. And with exposure therapy, it just becomes more normal. So if you're uncomfortable in your nakedness, for example, the best thing that you could do is to start visiting a sauna or a steam room, right? Where you start using one less article of clothing than before. So people who are really uncomfortable in their body or really scared of being naked in front of other people. Like, honestly, I remember going to a gym, and this is one thing that I really don't struggle with. I never have struggled with nakedness, but so many women do. And just being around other women who are naked is actually really healing, because you start to see that no one is what they look like on Instagram. No one has the no wrinkle lines. Like, it just doesn't exist. But we live in this world where everything is touched up. Everything has a filter on it. It's so fake. But when you actually go and see real human bodies in like a very non-sexual context, you start to realize how much that we expose ourselves to these fake, masked, filtered images of what our bodies look like. And that is not even what they look like in real life. Okay, short break to share this important message with you today, my loves. What if I told you that within just a couple of days or a couple of hours of listening time, you could learn and know everything you needed to know to experience epic sex and pleasure in the bedroom as a high-achieving woman? Well, I have made the most amazing 5-day audio training for you to learn just that. My 5 days to epic sex and pleasure for high achieving women audio training is completely free. If I could have you sit down with me and for just a couple of hours tell you everything that I wanted you to know that was important for you to take the next steps to experience the pleasure and the orgasms and the connection that you want with your partner more than ever, what is in this training is exactly what I would tell you. So if you don't have time, or maybe you're thinking, I'm brand new to you, Tilly, I have no idea who you are. Why should I listen to you? Why should I continue listening to this podcast? If that's you, then I want you to go download that training at the show notes right now, because in there, it's my most jam-packed, most amazing training to help you understand what actually is required. Not to go to your therapist and for your therapist to tell you, well, just have sex. Oh, how many times I could count, I've heard that one from clients before. That's not what is going to work for you, because if it did, you wouldn't be here listening to this right now. Guaranteed. So, my loves, go download the 5 days to epic sex and pleasure training for high achieving women down in the show notes, and I will see you there. Have fun. All right, now back to our regularly scheduled programming. You know, if that's something you struggle with, nakedness, then just being around other people who are naked in a non-sexual context is actually a really great way to heal yourself from any hangups that you have around your body and being naked. If you struggle with sharing your fantasies and desires with your partner because you fear that they're gonna think that you're crazy or you're wrong, well, one thing that you can do using exposure therapy is to start sharing a fantasy or desire that isn't necessarily sexual in nature first, and then you can slowly build up your sharing to something a little bit more sexual until you start to prove to yourself that, oh my gosh, it's actually safe to say those things. And if you struggle with sexual shyness or anxiety around certain things, then just know that exposure therapy is a really quick way to get over that shyness or anxiety. Okay. So the second step to overcome sexual shyness and anxiety for good is to explore your erotic language. If you do not know that, if you have not heard me talk about that, I want you to go download my 5 days to epic pleasure and passion for high achieving women training down in the show notes right now, because it is such an integral part of understanding who you are as a sensual and sexual woman. The more that you know and understand who you are as a sexual woman, the less you will give your power away to people you fear are going to judge you or not accept you. When you are empowered in who you are as a sensual sexual creature, you know how your body works, you know what your turn-ons are, you know how you like to give pleasure, and you know how you like to receive pleasure. There is very little room for your inner critic or your inner judge to come out and to start bringing up all of these fears and anxieties for you. It is only when you don't know who you are, when you have no freaking clue who you are as a sexual woman, when you have repressed that for ages and you have no idea, that's when you feel insecure. Empowerment, sexual empowerment, is about learning who you are, how your body operates, how you like to give and receive pleasure. And the erotic languages give us a beautiful framework for learning that about ourselves. And you can learn way more about it in that 5 days to epic pleasure and passion training for high achieving women down at the show notes below. Simply put in your name and email, and I will shoot you I think it's day 4 of the training that is all about the erotic languages. So you can go learn more there. Okay, the third step for overcoming sexual shyness and anxiety is mirror work. Doing mirror work with the parts of your body that you feel the least confident about, that you have the most anxiety around, that you judge the most. For me, it was my boobs. I hated them. So doing mirror work around what I loved about them, how they supported my babies, how they make me more of a curvy woman who has a feminine shape, right? I repeatedly had to do this mirror work of looking at my body part in the mirror that I judged and then giving myself compliments, because the negative self-talk is just going to go on and on and on because they're not the perfect boobs and I'm not into getting fake ones. And so that's not really an option. And it's just not something that is going to come natural to me to look at my boobs and feel really confident about them because I didn't like them, right? And they didn't fit the idea of what I thought boobs should look like. So to do mirror work is to literally sit in front of a mirror naked with the body part in mind that you most judge. And instead of letting the negative thoughts go on, you're going to look at yourself in the mirror and you are going to share one thing that you appreciate or love about this part of your body. I want to share a bit about one of my clients, Josiane. She actually came on here maybe a year ago on the podcast to share her story about how she had so much self-judgment about her vulva and how it looked that before she signed up to work with me, she had saved up some money and she was planning to use that money to get a labiaplasty. A labiaplasty is literally where your vulva, certain folds and pieces of skin are cut off and reshaped to make it more aesthetically pleasing. And while some women may have a medical need for that because some of the flaps and folds might actually get in the way and cause pain during sex and these sorts of things, she just had a lot of judgment around the way that her vulva looked. And after doing mirror work, I actually had her begin to do her self-pleasure practices in front of a mirror. Yes, I made her look at her vulva as she was pleasuring herself to help rewire her story about how her vulva looked and her relationship with her vulva. And by the time she ended working with me, she had completely canceled any plans to have the labiaplasty and actually fell in love with the shape of her vulva. So this is the power of mirror work, of rewiring these stories that we tell ourselves about our body parts that we judge, that we don't feel comfortable about. It's so, so powerful. Okay, so the fourth and final way that you overcome sexual shyness and anxiety is to embody your desired sexual archetype. Archetypes are so powerful for helping you overcome these issues. Apart from your everyday personality, you also have a deep archetype within you that you can tap into around your sexuality. And these archetypes can come out and play in the bedroom in different ways. So there's all sorts of different archetypes. There's elements of nature that you can embody, like water or fire. There's the girl next door. There's the old wise woman. There's the priestess, the tantric priestess. There's the innocent virgin. If you're really sexually explicit and you've slept with a lot of people, to embody an innocent virgin is going to feel like, oh my God, like, how can I find the innocence in my sexuality again, right? Well, you embody your innocent virgin. If you are the innocent virgin and you are really sexually shy and unexpressed, but you want to begin to feel confident to explore other facets, to be more exploratory, maybe embodying your inner dominatrix is the complete opposite of how you currently show up sexually. So it's very empowering to empower an archetype sexually, because it doesn't leave room for the part of you that judges, criticizes, or experiences anxiety in the first place. So you can play with and cultivate an archetype and let that archetype inspire you in your self-pleasure and how you show up with a partner. So you'll find that the archetypes can be teachers to you around your sexuality. So to keep things from getting weird with your partner, I always suggest that you start with intentional self-pleasure, where you practice letting the judgmental, critical, embarrassed, shy, or anxious part of you let that go, and you fully embody and step into the archetype and explore your self-pleasure as this archetype. So if you struggle with sexual shyness, then it's likely that you're more of the girl next door type, right? And if that's more of how you show up every day, then you're going to want to choose an archetype that's different for you, like the dominatrix or the fire. So if you made love to yourself as the dominatrix, how would that go? What would be different? It would be drastically different, right? If you're normally like the girl next door or the good girl type. But if you embodied the element of fire and made love to yourself as this all-consuming fire, how might you experience sexuality in a different way? How might you show up differently? So archetypes are really the thing that helps my clients who struggle with sexual shyness to step out of their comfort zones, to break out of patterns that keep them small and judgmental of how they show up sexually. So if you are seeking support with this, I did announce back in September that I had 3 spots left for private coaching this year, and I have 1 left for the year. So 2 people have taken me up on it. I did want to announce too, and I will keep reminding you guys until the spot is full, but my prices are going to be going up $2,000, $2,000 extra dollars on January 1st for private coaching. So if you have been considering private coaching with me in my Sex Goddess program or my Epic Sex Blueprint program, which is the one for couples, then I highly recommend that you book a call to speak with me about it at the link in the show notes, to at least put down a deposit. Because if you want, maybe you don't want to get started right now, but you want to lock in my 2023 rates, then you can put down a deposit to secure the 2023 rate. And then we can start after January 1st. Because after January 1st, if you don't have a deposit down with me, prices are going to go up $2,000. Okay. So simply book a call at the link in the show notes to speak with me about it, and we can determine if it's a good fit. And if it is, you can put down a deposit to secure that rate. I also wanted to announce that my Black Friday special is going on, and that will be happening through November 26th. I'm feeling extra generous this year. This has been the most roller coastery ride of my entire life, and I'm doing something that I've never done before. So anything that you can purchase from my website, you can get from now until Sunday, November 26th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for 20% off, with the coupon code Black Friday, all caps Black Friday. So this includes 100% knee fright jade eggs, my erotic reclamation online course with the optional coaching upgrade, my 8 types of orgasms online course with the optional coaching upgrade, my men's how to sexually please a woman online course with the optional coaching upgrade, and my surrender to receive workshop. So again, you can get any of these 5 items on my website, 20% off with the coupon code Black Friday by going to the link in the show notes now through November 26, 2023. The only programs that aren't 20% off right now are my private coaching programs, Sex Goddess and the Epic Sex Blueprint. So if you've had your eye on either of the private programs, again, prices are increasing January 1st by $2,000. So you can lock in the 2023 rate with a deposit simply by booking a call with me, and let's determine if it's a good fit. And if it is, you can put down a deposit. And even if you don't want to get started now, we can start in 2024. All right, my loves, thank you so much for joining me. And here's to your journey to stepping into your most empowered sexual identity and overcoming sexual shyness and anxiety for good. I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.